so we can start the webinar. You can see the raise hand option. It's just above the chat window provided by the GoToWebinar ID. Okay, great. So everyone can hear me loud and clear. So let us start the proceedings. Okay. So on behalf of Royal Cyber Incorporated, I welcome you to the webinar, Error Handling in HATS Web Service Project. It's part of the webinar series program organized by Royal Cyber for increasing awareness and going deep into IBM Host Access Transformation Service, or HATS. This webinar focuses on error or exception handling process that should be followed in a HATS web service based project. After presenting the material, we will demonstrate the whole process live to you as well. I am Yasir Hassan, and with me I have our HATS specialist, Hosh Mohammed. So let us start with the agenda. We will start off with the brief introduction about us, that is Royal Cyber. Then we will discuss the IBM Rational HATS tool. In the next section, we will discuss the basic concepts of HATS web service based project, that are macros, integration objects, and web services. Then we will discuss the importance and challenges of error handling in HATS. After that, we will describe the entire process of implementing web service error handling model in HATS. In the end, we will demonstrate the error handling process live to you in the form of a demo. Eventually, we will conclude the webinar by answering your questions, concerns, and queries. So let us start with the brief introduction about us, that is Royal Cyber. Royal Cyber is a modernized e-business solution provider. We are IBM Premier Business Partners. We are also IBM Authorized Trainer, and furthermore, we are also Microsoft Certified Gold Partners. The company started in 2003, and since then, our experts have been leaders in providing training and consultancy of IBM Rational, WebSphere, Tivoli, Lotus, Cognos, and many Microsoft family solutions to businesses worldwide. And our many organizations from our clientele include Fortune 500 companies as well. You can see our global presence. I apologize for the system error. Just give us a second. I'm sorry for the system error. So you can see our global presence in this slide. We are headquartered in Chicago, Illinois, and we have a global footprint with offices and development center across North America, Asia, Europe, Africa, Middle East, as you can see in this slide. Here's our brand portfolio. As you can see, we have covered all the possible bases with our solutions, from enterprise modernization to database server to Microsoft family solutions, middlewares, portals, rational tools, e-commerce based tools. So anything that you can imagine from a software provider firm, have it in our portfolio. Now let me give you a brief overview of IBM Rational HATS. Rational HATS is a premier IBM product suite that is inarguably the best tool for presenting old green screen applications built on mainframes, System I, System Z in modernized manner rapidly and efficiently. Once the old green screen application is modernized via HATS, that version can be prepared for various output mediums, and you don't need to make any changes in the at the back end. So it means that the matured environment that you are using for many years, it stays at the back end, ensuring business continuation and stability. With HATS, there is no need to migrate any data from green screen. And to top it all, from business perspective, that it is very hard to train people on old obsolete technologies. So moving to HATS permits new resources to come on board quickly, and it is easy to find resources for modern technologies as compared to old legacy technologies. This is the overall development process. Like any application we create these days, a HATS application is created on a modern IDE that is read based on Eclipse in our case. The HATS application is deployed on WebSphere application server, and new versions of HATS also provide the flexibility to deploy application on Oracle WebLogic server and Apache Geronimo server. During the design, the developer always have the green screen in front of them, because the basic idea of HATS is to modernize the legacy application, so it has to be there. Now, when the end user accesses the application via his or her system, WAS or whatever application server we have, it becomes responsible for showing the modernized view to the end user, and at the same time it performs tasks like picking and providing data to green screen, running web services, and providing data to wherever it is required. HATS deployment options. So data from legacy server like System I and System Z, also known as AS400 and mainframe, it can be used at various places as demonstrated in this slide. Data once processed by HATS can be deployed for web applications, rich clients, portals, mobile devices, and you can also create web service to allow communication between multiple systems. We will discuss web service in more detail in the later slides. So here are few salient features that HATS offer. There are so many things that HATS can do, like modernizing green screens per the recent UI standard. You can use macros, you can apply customization and other techniques to show green screen data in organized manner. You can also incorporate advanced control and widgets, and HATS can be used for creating mobile version for specific devices for your on the business needs. This is the overall architecture of the HATS implementation in a nutshell, where IBM I server is used for the green screen application. The HATS application is deployed on the application server, which is WAS in our case, WebSphere application server, and then it can be used on various platform browser devices via HTTP protocol, web services, etc. So this is the brief introduction about HATS. So now let me pass the control to my fellow colleague Hosh to take this webinar further.
Thank you, Yasser. We have already covered that what is HATS. So actually HATS provides a lot of features that Yasser told you, but here we are only covering the features that we are going to demonstrate in today's demo. Macros, integration objects, and web services in HATS. So let's move ahead. Actually, the first question is, what is HATS macro? Actually, a macro is simply a recording of different screens at the backend applications. These are simply example scripts that interact with 30-70 and 50-50 host applications. Integration objects are created using macros, so means macros can be driven by integration objects. Actually, macros are the foundation for the web service support provided by HATS. If you want to create a web service in HATS, then macro will be the first thing that you will be required to create, and from that, those macros, integration objects will be created, and other web service support files, and ultimately web service that you are intending to create. Actually, macros also can means there are different other features or means functionalities that macros can provide you, just like skip screen. For example, if you want to skip the unwanted screen, then macro also provide you this functionality that you can skip the unwanted screen. Now the web service means inputs and outputs. When we talk in terms of web service means inputs out and outputs. There are certain operations inside web service that expect to provide, the user need to provide some inputs, and our operation will provide the corresponding output to that input. So prompt is an action inside macro that is means defined when macro is required an input from the user, and extract is an action inside macro. For example, if you want to extract some data or some information from the backend application or host screen, then extract is an action that is used to perform this functionality. Hence, macro also provide you the functionality to connect and disconnect to a particular host action. Macro can also be incorporated in a button, and that can be applied in the transformation, but this functionality will not be covered because we are not using transformation in today's webinar, so this feature will not be covered today. Actually, there are different ways to create a macro and modify that macro. You have the one option is host HATS terminal. Then we will come later in our live demo, then I will show you that how you can create your macro using the HATS terminal. Then you can also, once your macro is created, if you want to modify that macro, then you can simply double click that macro, and there will be an editor where you can edit your macro. For example, if there are two similar nature macro, almost the requirement of this, both the macros is same, then it is useless to create a second macro from scratch. So simply in the, just like all the other programming language provide you the copy paste. So you can simply copy the macro and simply paste that, and the pasted macro will be having a different name, and you can modify that macro. So you can copy and paste also. This is HATS visual macro. Actually, the later versions of HATS 7.5 also provided you the feature visual macro. Now you can see, means you can imagine previously you could see only the from the macro from the terminal or the XML file, but now this is a more pictorial diagram, or we can say visual representation of macro that VME, or we can say visual macro editor provide. So basically the HATS visual macro editor can be used to create a macro from scratch, but I would not recommend you to create a macro from scratch using the visual macro editor. It is more efficient to create your macro using the HATS terminal. And if you want to modify your macro, then VME is quite handy. So if you want to modify your macro, or you want to see the overall functionality or overall navigation of your macro, then VME is a very comprehensive tool. Now, what are integration objects? Actually, integration object is simply a representation of macro XML file into a Java bean. So when you create a web service, then first thing is macro is created, and then integration object is created, and basically from those integration objects you can create a web service. So we will show you how you can create integration object from macro, and then how those integration objects can be used to create your web service. Integration objects can be used in any HATS application, including mobile devices, HATS Portlet, and HATS EJB. Just like other features, integration objects can be used in different various in various devices. Integration object chaining. Now, chaining, for example, if you want to divide a major task in a smaller task, then different integration objects can be combined in the chain. Now, when to use, for example, if the following scenarios are true, then you can use your integration object. If you want your application connect to multiple hosts, if you want to fetch data from more than one host applications, then integration objects are used. If you want to create your web pages containing inputs and outputs of a macro, then also integration objects are created. If you want to create Java representation of XML file, then also integration objects are created. Now, once your integration object is created, then you can use it in a different manner. You can create a business logic, and you can run your integration object from that business logic. You can also create the model 1 pages, stress, or JSF web pages from those integration objects. Now, you can create a chain of objects, and you can include multiple integration objects in a chain. Actually, we are going to create a chain of integration objects into this demo. You can also perform the forward to URL action from the on the integration objects. So these are the basic functionality uses of integration objects. What is a web service that we are going to create? We must know the conceptual background, or conceptually we must be clear that what is web service. To summarize, a complete web service, therefore any service that is available over the intranet or private intranet, is called a web service. And web service uses a standard XML, standard XML that is understood, or all the programming language or all the systems are almost aware of this standard XML. So web service provides you the unified language that is globally accepted. And also, the web service is not tied to any operating system or programming language. For example, if you are written the web service in .NET or on the Microsoft platform, it can easily be run on the Oracle. So web service is independent in terms of platform, in terms of architecture, in terms of the programming language. Because web service contains XML grammar, so it is self-descripting. And once web service is deployed, then it is quite easy to find the web service. You simply have to register to a registry. These are the major attributes of a web service. It is language independent. It means once you have written your web service in any language, it can be consumed to any web service, any other language. It is platform independent, whether it is a Linux platform, it is an any A400 platform, or it is a Microsoft platform. It is independent in terms of platform. Then it is also independent to vendor. It is standardized because it supports the XML. It supports different protocols, so it is standardized. And the syntax, almost all the web services developed in any language has a similar request and response model. Every web service operation require input, and that operation will return, and response will return some information. Then web service, because it is a web, it is deployed on web, so it is remotely accessible. It is quite easy application to application integration when there are different applications. If they want to communicate or integrate, then web services are quite very important, easy, or we can say handy thing. No need to handshake means there is not a certain or dedicated link between the provider and sender. There is no link between the request and response. Okay, these are the components of web service that support the standard format. These are the most important components of the web service. One is XML, a uniform data representation engine. Then the SOAP means mostly SOAP protocol is followed, a standard way of communication. Then UDDI, Universal Description, Discovery and Integration, a mechanism to register. If the requester wants to register, then he must register to the registry, and then the WSDL file. For example, you have developed the web service, then you are required to provide the WSDL file that will contain all the necessary information related to that web service, just like location of that web service, port of that web service, and the operations, inputs and outputs. What are the benefits of web service? Loosely coupled. Each service exists independently of the other services that make up the application. Individual pieces of the application to be modified without impacting unrelated areas. So for example, web service is a part of a big system, and if you want to modify your web application, it will not impact the whole system. It will only impact that part of web service. It is quite ease of integration. Data is isolated between applications, creating silos. Web service act as a glue between these and enable easier communication within and across organizations. So it is quite easy to integrate web service. Reusability of the services. For example, if you have created a web service and otherwise you want to modify your web service, then it is quite easy. So it facilitates you, or it gives you ease to reuse the current code. Rapid development. It is very easy to develop the web services due to all the standardization and anticipated standardization at receiving end. Okay, this is the web service. This is the simple diagram, or we can say simple web service. Sorry again for the system actually hanged. And this is the simple web service, simple model. Basically, this is how a generic web service works. We have a provider that publishes the web service, and actually provider doesn't know the requester, and requester no need to know the provider. Who's the provider or requester? Those are loosely coupled. Simply they need to register to the registry. Requester request for the web service from the registry. Once found, the requester gets the desired data from provider by binding via design protocol. In our case, it is SOAP protocol. Important terms to remember are publish. When we talk in terms of web service, these are few terms that need to get grasped over those. Publish, find, bind, client, consume, publish. These are all the terms that are heavily used in web service. Uses of web service in HATS. Web services in HATS can be of mainly three types listed here. The third one can be further divided into two more. First one is to extract data from host application. So when you create a web service, it means you want to extract some data from the host application, or you want to insert data to host system. And then also, not only HATS provide you the functionality to create a web service, but if anybody else have developed a web service in any other programming language, then HATS also provide you the feature to consume that web service. So you can also consume web services in HATS. Now let us move to our main topic, that is error handling in HATS. When we talk about error handling, there are two types of error. One are compile time error, and compile time error, if you make any compile time error, for example, if you made any error in the syntax of the language, then modern IDs are quite efficient to remind you that you have made certain error. So also there are few hints that how you can fix that. And also application cannot be deployed if there are any compile time errors within your application. Right? ID is quite efficient enough to indicate the developer about compile time error. So at certain extent, it also helps you to debug those issues and fix those. Once those issues are fixed, you can run your application. Now the runtime error means exceptions. So if you have made any error in Java code, then there is a very comprehensive Java exceptional handling mechanism that is provided by Java, through which you can handle exceptions or errors. But there's no such thing in HATS, especially in the HATS macro, that provide you this functionality. So our current today's webinar focuses on this one, that how efficiently you can handle macro exceptions or errors. Why error handling is important? Since HATS developer is not playing with backend application, actually they, when some clients come to us, we don't know, deep knowledge. We don't have the deep knowledge of their backend system. We have only the knowledge that is transferred to us by the client. So HATS developer is simply unaware about all the possible scenarios that backend system can have. Simply HATS developer records what is told by the client. So in case if client misses any scenario, our application simply will crash. So recording too many scenarios. For example, there are 100 error scenarios. So each recording the scenario will definitely deteriorate the performance. So our main focus is to record the happy flow, and all other error scenarios should be handled by our error handling framework. Now, what were the challenges that we faced when we wanted to develop this error handling framework? One was avoiding unwanted access, because, for example, if you have a happy flow and your macro successfully logged out, then definitely there is no unwanted access. Nobody can access that system. But if there is an error happened in the mid of the macro execution, there might be your system is still logged in. So there was a huge grant that there can be unwanted access. So if any, one more thing is that, for example, if any wrong key is placed, at the backend system, our backend system simply struck and normal logout keys don't work. For example, normal logout keys are F3 or F12 or 90. So if any invalid key is placed or any invalid input is given to the backend screen, then simply our screen will hang out and no other key, normal keys will be working. So it was quite tricky to handle those scenarios. And one more thing, in many scenarios, reset key work, but also how many, what will be the number of times to press that key so that our system, our screen comes in a stable position. So this was also a major challenge. So now I'm going to show you that how error handling framework is implemented in HATS. You can simply go. What you can do simply, you create a macro, and in this slide you can see that we are creating chained integration object from the macro. So first thing that from the macro you are required to create an integration object. I will show you live that how in HATS integration object is created from HATS macro. And the location of that integration object will be main root folder will be the integration object. Now you can see in this diagram where we are where we are implementing our exceptional handling framework that is inside the integration object. So it means our Java, we have developed a Java class named exceptional handling, and we are importing that into integration object. So we are not implementing in this framework at the micro level or at the web service level, but we are using that into integration object level. You might know, if anybody from you have already worked on HATS and created an integration object, that integration objects are basically created from macro and with the help of IO template. So HATS generate IO source code by template. So actually at the backend we have imported the exceptional handling, our Java class, into that template, and we have configured our integration object to create, those need to be created from that template so that this framework should be applied globally. So whatever the integration object will be created, all will take this, will get that exceptional handling framework feature from that template. Now, how we know that error condition has happened at the backend system, so our framework should come into action. Actually, for each macro, we have the option to set a value in milliseconds. By default, it is 60 seconds. So in our scenario, we have set the value 30 seconds. So, for example, the next screen doesn't come in that period of time, then our framework will take the control and will efficiently logged out from the system, and in return he will return the fail message. So from that fail message we will know that there is an error condition happened, so we can simply go in the logs and check the error and then fix accordingly. This is the exceptional handling logic for in our recorded macro. For each screen, we have specified a screen recognition criteria for happy flows, and then any screen is out of recognition, then we have set a time in our case, default is 60 seconds. In our case, we have set it as a 30 seconds. So if that period, that amount of period expires, then our exceptional handling framework take the control. And the main job or the sole job of exceptional handling framework is to automatically or gracefully log out from the system and send a fail message to the web service client. So this is the logic. This is the logic. If on any screen we see enter to continue message, because normally F3 or F12 keys are to navigate back to the back screens, but sometimes if you see the enter to continue message on the screen, then even these keys will not work. So we have said that if there is a message text screen enter to continue, then our first is to press that enter key, and then you can press the F3 or F12 key. Until how many times we have to press the F3 or F12 key, then we have defined the logic in our exceptional handling framework that until the main menu or sign out screen appears. So these are the basic steps to create your web service. Once you have created the integration objects, then you are required to create the web service support file. These are also the Java classes, provide the inputs and outputs of corresponding operations. Also, from those support files, you can create a web service. Then you can deploy that web service on your server, and also you can HATS also provide you to create a client, web service client that will consume that web service. But in our case, we will not use the HATS client, but we will use the SOAP UI that is freely available. That is third-party tool. We will use SOAP UI to consume our developed web service. So here are the steps that from the integration objects, we are going to create web service support files. Then create a web service, choose project and set web service class name. So these all are the options that we will perform practically in our demo. Then this is creating HATS web service that in our scenario in current we have two, we will be having two operations. One is search boards and other will be the for the sign on. So we will select those operations, and means those operations will be included in the final WSDL file. And then we can create this web service. After we have created the web service support file, simply right click, then there will be web service and create a web service. Now next, these are the different options. No need to configure anything here. Simply click next button. Now these all are the configurable options. What will be the target namespace? There will be your web service classes. Then also the configure WSDL name, web service name, also the web service port number that will appear inside the WSDL file. Click next button, and now your web service is created. Once your web service is created, you can test inside the web service explorer, but in our case, we will simply track the WSDL file and schema, and we will consume that web service using the SOAP UI client. So this is all about the concepts that we have covered, and now we are ready to move to our live demo, that how these steps are performed. So this is the HATS ID that we have opened a custom workspace, and I have created a project named exception handling demo inside that, and I have created two macros. I just want to show you the connection. We are connecting to the demo server, that is iCSD.dfw.ibm.com, and these are the you are required to import the certificate, SSL certificate, in order to connect to that system. And on this system, we have created two macros. I just want to show you those macros inside the visual macro editor. One is sign on. You can see here, you can read that what actions are performed on the first screen. We are getting the username, that will be the input from the user, and the password, and we are moving to the next system menu screen. And we have also covered this scenario. If this screen appears, if there are more than one session opened, then we might see this screen. So we have also included this screen, and we have created the other macro, that is search boards. So we are simply inserting the hard-coded value boards. Then on this screen, we are prompting the value. Prompting means we are taking the input from the user so that he can type the type of board. Once he types the board, we insert that board value inside the board type field and press the enter button. And here you will see we will extract the region, that how many boards. In this scenario, 26 boards, and then we will successfully logged out from the system. So let me run these macros first. First, this is the sign on macro. Logged in with the board admin user ID, and password is demo2 pwt. This is logged out. And then this is the search boards macro. I type the board type, for example, P. Now you can see these are the search board, 10 boards, match your search. There is another parameter, a result, that is blank. So we have extracted from the last screen this parameter, and if there are 7 spaces in that, we are populating the value either success or fail. So these are the macros that we have created. I just want to show you the exception error handling Java code. I just want to go through this code, that how we have implemented the error handling logic inside this framework. Now we have created different strings. System I menu, then sign on, F3, F12, enter to continue, enter to sign off. So these are the means a few strings, test string that are required to recognize that on which screen we are. So what we are doing here, we are getting the complete region of the screen, complete data from the screen, and we are storing that data inside a temp variable. And on that temp variable, we are performing certain actions. For example, if we are on the sign out screen, means first screen, or on the main screen, then we will consume that we are on the correct screen. We will populate the result variable with the true value. And you can see if we are on the continue, you can see enter string to continue, enter to continue. If we are here, then first we are required to press the enter key and then reset key and then again the enter key. So these are the different patterns, and on each different pattern we are performing certain actions. If there is no above criteria, then we can imagine that there is a normal screen. So for the normal screen, there is a button F3 or F12 to navigate back to the backend screen. So I just want to show you one more thing. Go inside your macro, just like search boards macro properties, and you can see here this is the time in milliseconds. So we are waiting this amount of time. Once this amount of time, 30,000 milliseconds, means 30 seconds. Once this time expires, then our framework will take the control. So one more thing. This is the IO template where we have imported that exceptional handling framework or error handling framework. So this framework will be used. So this framework will be used to create our integration objects from macro. How to point to this template? Simply go inside the preferences, search out integration object. Now you can see here, this is our workspace name. Inside the workspace, there is a template name hpub template HOD bean _rc.customize. So this is the means IO template from which all the integration objects will be created, and we have incorporated our error handling framework logic inside that customized template. So now let us create a chained integration object from these macros. Right click on sign on macro, create chained integration object. This will be the first object in the chain. Just label should be the same for all the objects inside your chain. The first position in object chain and the label is traced. Okay. So you can see here one integration object is created inside the integration object folder, and the name of that integration object will remain the same as the name of the macro. Then right click on the search boards macro, create chain integration objects, and this will be the middle part, middle object inside your chain, and the name of this will remain the same as the name of the first integration object in the chain. Okay, now we have created two integration objects and those are chained. Now what is the next step? Next step is to create the web service support file. So So simply right click on any integration object from the chain, then click create web service support files and give the class name. What should be the class name of those classes? Then click next and include all the integration object inside that and simply click finish. Now you can see here there's a test, then there are four other classes are created for sign out inputs, sign out inputs, sign out, and then search board's input and search board output. You can modify this, you can apply your logic or anything custom logic you can write in these classes as well. Now web service support classes are created, so now you are ready to create the web service. Simply web service wizard will help you create the web service. Simply right click on the test main class, then create web service. On this page you can configure different options, but for this demo we are not playing with these options. Simply click next. Then on this window you can generate WSDL file into the project, because this web service already exists inside my project, so I need to change the name of this WSDL file. I say test service 1. So this is the WSDL file name. You can also create a WSDL folder, and inside that folder you can store this WSDL file. Click next button. Now these are the configurable properties. That will be the target namespace, then this one. I name this one WSDL service name as a test service 1, then test support. Click next. And finish. I just want to make sure that my server is running. Now what I do, I open the SOAP UI, that is freely available third-party tool to consume your web service. Now what I am required? I'm required to create a SOAP project. I name this project as a demo. An initial WSDL file. I should point to the WSDL file name. So I simply know that here this exists. So this is the path. Inside the exceptional handling project, you can go inside web content, then web INF, then there will be a folder named WSDL. Now we have created test service 1. So open this. You can see here test service 1 and click. Okay. Okay. I have created a project named demo, and I have inside that I have imported my means I have pointed to this WSDL file test1 underscore WSDL. Now there are two operations inside that WSDL file. One is sign on, another is search boards. So first I log into the sign on operation. I open this one. This is the WSDL file location that is defined inside the WSDL file. This is our web service location. This is the hub link key, or this will be the key that will be used to chain these different operations. Let me give the password, demo2 pwd, and username is bot admin. So this is the input and this is the output. When I play this, you can see the result is successful. Means we have provided the prompts inside the macro, that is password and username, and it has fetched the result success. Now if you provide any wrong username or password, means that will be the error scenario inside our macro. For example, I remove the n, and now my password is bot add, user ID is bot add, it means incorrect or invalid username. So if I play this one, after the 30 seconds, 30,000 milliseconds, once the time expires, our exceptional handling framework will take the action and perform the logout operation. It has returned the fail message. I just log into this one. Okay. Now I go to the search boards. My hub link key is 1, and bot type, for example, is A. I log on to the system. It should return me the number of type boards related to A. So if you provide any wrong value, and if any error scenario happens at the backend macro, this means simply this framework will return the fail message, so that, and will log out from gracefully from the system, so that user know that something wrong happened to the system, and he will simply go inside the log file and will troubleshoot the errors. So this was all about our today's live demo. Let me know if you have any questions related to today's webinar. I am happy to answer your questions.
So I hope you have enjoyed the session and demo. So let us take questions from your side. Okay. Okay. So the first question we have is that can we get a copy of the slide afterward? That would be cool. Yes, we will provide you the PDF file. You will receive it in the email that will be sent after this session. And then there is another question. Are there any practical demos available?
Yeah, there is a question from one attendant that is there any practical demo? That just now we have already shown you a demo, but besides that, we have also served, means we have implemented this functionality, this feature to one of our client. So on your case, we can also show you that demo as well. The next question, I think, is the custom IO templates are created by you. Yes, of course. Not the everything inside custom IO template. We have simply gathered all the contents from the customized template that is provided by HATS to locate. But we have customized that custom template. So we have added this functionality, and we have also we have added another functionality that is getting the screen captures of different screens. So means we have, yes, we have customized that template.
Okay, there is another question that can we figure out on which screen we have error? Can we figure out on which screen we have error?
Yes, actually what we have implemented here, we have not fail message comes out, and also when you will go inside the log file, you will see the last screen where it happened. So we have captured that screen. So from the log file, you can see the screen.
Okay, there is another question that we have mentioned the 30-second time factor. You know, we demonstrated in the demo. Yes. Okay. So the question is that can we have different time for different screen or screen types within a macro, or is it standard for the entire macro? Please confirm if I've understood your question correctly. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, actually, the timeout that we have defined, that is 30 seconds, that is generic. Normal is 60 seconds, but in all our macros, we have defined 30 seconds. Yes, we can, means on different macros, we can have different timeout, but that will means do the complex, we will have to do the complex inside our framework. Also, means this timeout depends on the means response time of your host system. So normally, for example, on a one particular macro, if a response time of the maximum response time is 20 seconds, for example, it means for all the macros will be that. So response time depends on the host. It is not specific to macro. So I would recommend you to provide same timeout time for all the macros. Thank you.
Okay, we have many questions. So another question is that the scenario that you have discussed is when host seems to be working, host is working, and there is some issue, you know, while the host is working. What will happen if host itself is down? How does the web service handle that scenario?
Yeah, a very good question and very important question. Honestly speaking, our current system doesn't means handle this scenario, but I think yes, we can. If there is no screen, there is no connection to the system, then definitely we can send some message just like fail message, and also we can create another output variable to say that host doesn't exist. So I think we can easily incorporate this scenario with our current framework.
Okay, so this is the final question. How exactly do we consume web service in HATS? How exactly do we consume web service in HATS? What's the mechanism? So, Hosh will share the mechanism briefly.
Yeah, the mechanism is same. HATS is not different from other means web service consumer platforms. So simply HATS will require the visitor file and the XML schema file, and on those then we will be required to create a Java class inside HATS business logic, and we will define each operation. So there are, for many customers, we have already implemented those. They have provided us the COBOL web services, and we have consumed those web services in our HATS business logic.
Okay. So you can please feel free to contact us for any queries. I hope you enjoyed the session and found it educational. You can get 40 hours of consultancy regarding HATS free of cost from us for any kind of modernization. Stay tuned with us for more trainings and webinars. Thank you very much for your participation. I hope you enjoyed the session. Goodbye from all of us. Hope to see you again. Thank you very much.